All right, so we're going to be talking about Rust Dimension once again. And I know in our first impressions, we barely tipped our toes into the game. Now, I say that, folks, because they just got done making fun of me for saying tic tac toe or whatever, and they just lost it. This is like our third time trying to record. But Dimension, besides making fun of me for my bad ways of saying things, what do you think about Rust now that we're back trying to play it again?
I think that I need to state first that when we do our first impressions videos, if it is a game that I see potential in already and I'm excited for already, I think I go into it with a more positive attitude, and I think I kind of hand wave or gloss over some of the potential issues that the game might have. And not all of those quote unquote issues are things that are necessarily bad for the game. They may be something that I just need to get used to that's different that I'm not used to seeing and playing. But I also notice when we do a revisit of a game like this, some of the things that aren't as good as I thought they were, or that bother me a little bit that didn't bother me the first time. But then I also, the more I learn about certain games, the more I'm wanting to explore. Rust is one of those games with the text tree. There's so much tech in this game. There's so much stuff you can do that I didn't even realize was in the game in the beginning. Even with you guys telling me like, hey, you can do this, you can do that, you could get helicopters, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm thinking it's like low tier stuff. And then you and I play the other night and we see like an attack chopper, we see a jet fly over us a whole bunch of times, and we start having to worry whether we're going to get bombs dropped on us. Like, there's so much to do that we haven't even explored. That yes, there are things about Rust that I'm still unsure about, but there's so much stuff that I feel like we haven't even cracked open that I am excited to get into.
Rust is all about the player experience. It's the stories you tell. It's about the funny things that happen, the raids, the moments of like stress, but also hilarious like stupidity, like putting C4 down and your friend running up to smash the door with a sledgehammer and you blow him up too, or trapping people in your raid base or whatever. Like it's just
Or
all of Rust is about stories.
starving yourself to death by pushing a boat down a hill and down a beach into the water, only to find out that there's no gas in it because apparently pushing vehicles takes your food down, which takes your health down eventually.
I don't know about you, but I think pushing a vehicle would definitely make me hungry. I'm getting hungry thinking about it. But like that is some of the fun of Rust. And then, of course, you have the tech tree, like you talked about. But what's cool about the tech tree is that you can get flamethrowers, sentries, but they almost have like a redstone kind of for Rust. There are wires and circuitry and, like switch and breakers and all that kind of stuff, and you can make some really advanced like complex bases that can really defend themselves not only with like turrets and flamethrowers and crossbow traps and shotgun traps.
You just have to harvest the entire planet of everything in order to keep your base maintained for more than 24 hours.
Oh my gosh, yes, we deforested an entire tree line, which wasn't that bad, but I feel bad a little bit, maybe not. But scrap is difficult for us to find, or at least how it was for me. And I was smashing barrels like crazy. I felt like, I was contributing to an oil spill with how many barrels I was smashing. And I was getting a bunch of scrap and a couple of other cool things. But like, I think it took me like almost half an hour to get enough scrap for our first workbench.
Well, we were informed by Red, our producer, earlier, and I'm going to kind of steal his thunder with this, that we should be using a scrapper, or a recycler, or something like that to scrap the junk that we find to get metal scrap. I don't. I know we found those in the world, and like in bases, and sometimes in like some of the barns you can find and stuff like that, but I don't know if that's something that we could actually build in our base because we've never made it that far, or I haven't made it that far yet.
I actually think overall the game has become more fun because of the grind for me. The fact that the check tree isn't something that I can just power through within like a couple of hours on official servers, at least. I have to spend time and effort to get it to that stage. And that's kind of where the fun begins because official servers wipe anywhere from weeks to like I think once a month, maybe three every 3 months, and you have to constantly be having to restart from scratch. Now, some people might find that annoying, but I think that allows kind of what I talked about, the experience in Rust to happen again. New, stories, new problems, new mistakes, new victories.
The tech tree and the grind are really just a grind. It's a double-edged sword for me in Rust because you do have to start over if you not only if you die. If you die, you can respawn on your bedroll and be back at your base. But if you die and you're while your base is getting raided and they destroy your base before you get back to it or before you can respawn, like you lose all that. If they take all your equipment, you lose all that, which works like normal survival games. Like that's not the big deal. The
Mhm.
big issue with for me with the grind for Rust is what I keep mentioning, the fact that your base degrades over time. You can be rated when you're not in the server. Your character stays there. Your base stays there when you're not in the server. So at any point, if you're not there, it can be destroyed and everything can be taken away from you. And if you're someone that doesn't have time or something happens and say you play Rust every single day for 3 months and you've got a massive base built up, you've got all this stuff going, the server hasn't been wiped or anything like that, but you have to be gone for a week. If you don't have enough material in that base for that week, or somebody decides to raid you while you're gone, all that progress is done. And that is the reason why I say that's a double-edged sword, is because that is interesting for the game itself. Like that's a really cool mechanic. But if you're just kind of a casual player and you don't have that much time to put into it, it's a lot harder for you to get to the fighter jets and the airplanes and the shotgun turrets and the flamethrowers that you might accidentally program to kill your party and that kind of stuff. Like it's a double-edged sword in that way because it's not something that's instantly gratifying, but unless you have the time to put in a lot of work, you might not make it as far as some of the other people.
Look, in the wise words of you in our past episodes, get good, baby. But no, that's Rust. That's the appeal of Rust to many people. Is its constant chaos. Something's happening and always will be happening. There is no such thing as safety unless you have your own private server. It's PvE only, and even then, a helicopter can come by. Like when I played with Red Falcon, bringing him up, we had a helicopter blow out one of our walls with a rocket launcher, so the NPCs can even attack your base. So like there's always something going on in Rust, and that's kind of how I believe they designed it. That there is no such thing as serenity in this game, and if you believe in it, it's probably not a game for you. And I like that. I like that a lot.
Well, and like I said, it's a double-edged sword for me because I like that too, and I love the that mechanic about it. I just wish I had more time to put into that.
Oh my god, guys, he's riding the fence. He can't figure out whether or not he likes it or doesn't like it. He's totally confused. Before we end, folks, I kind of wanted to ask folks, we had a commenter in our last video tell us that we don't need to use keys to go in and out of our bases, but we couldn't figure out how to do it without getting the keypad. So, like, do we need to get a keypad to be able to enter and exit our base without a key, or is there a way to do it without the key? Let us know in the comments below. But folks, this is our opinion and our take on Rust, kind of stepping into it past the first impressions. We're excited to be covering more of this game and seeing and sharing our experiences with you. Thank you very much for watching the State of Survival podcast. Join me in thanking Dimension 119 and Red Falcon for helping support it and always being there for it. Ta for now.
See you in another dimension.